So this is episode 2 of the 3-Star Recruits. Everyone's got their gear on. We got T-shirts. And then Russ and I talked after our last podcast. We never did an intro.
Rookie mistake.
So on the end down here, we've got Adam, the Polish rifle. In the middle here, we got Russ, or white chocolate chip, whatever you prefer.
I like it.
I'm just Kyle. I don't have anything fancy. Nothing.
Yeah. We need to do some dangerous stunts or something so you can get a nickname.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something.
All right.
I got nothing.
All
right, cool. So we'll touch on it real quick. Then we'll move on since it's over. But how'd you guys do in the Super Bowl? Your bets?
Go ahead.
I was pretty positive. Brought a little bit in.
Did you find your ticket?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
You had a ticket. It was MIA when he was watching the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the game, it kind of took a while to get KC going, but in the end, it all ended up like we thought.
Dude, that touchdown, it was like the cherry on top. Was
To
cover the 9.5 spread we had.
The ultimate
spread. Oh.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't much, but I'll take it.
Yep.
I mean, I put like $10 on it. Russ probably had like $40 on it.
At least.
I forgot one more thing.
Oh, boy.
Something up his
We got a
sleeve.
gift.
So we forgot Adam's birthday.
All right. I like it.
So I got some cupcakes here. So we can get the Polish kid. Bless the cup. They're called unicorn cupcakes.
That is perfect.
Just take a cupcake. We are rare.
You are, sir. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you,
Belated
sir.
birthday.
Are you guys gonna sing to me?
Absolutely not.
Nobody
Oh.
wants to hear that.
Oh.
Although
Nope.
you're probably the worst singer on here. We all know that.
Yep.
Yeah. You want me to sing?
Nope.
No.
Not even to yourself.
Nope.
Not even to yourself.
We do have a mute button, so I like
It works too. I tested it.
I like it.
The cupcakes or the mute button?
The mute button.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
All right.
So the other thing too we want to talk about is, or I want to mention, which absolutely irritated me. We spent a lot of time talking about Brady in the last podcast, and then his Instagram post was to tease a really shitty Hulu commercial.
Yeah.
Troll City.
Very much. He's becoming a social media expert, I think, in trolling. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. When it first came up, I admit I didn't really watch the commercial. I just caught the end of it, of him in this dark stadium, same as the picture that he
Everybody
tweeted
doing
out.
what Adam said. You're like searching for it, like what stadium, the advertisements.
Yeah.
No, it was just a commercial for
That was a
Hulu.
And Patriots fans are excited because they think it means he's coming back.
Because he
to
said,
New
I'm
England."
not going anywhere.
He
Right.
did say that. So
I hope they're reading too far into it.
so that's the world we live in. Free agency
Instagram.
equals Twitter troll to Super Bowl commercial.
I got to remember that.
Yeah.
Then before we move on for football, as Bills fans, I don't know if Greg Olsen visited the Bills this week. It could be good, could be bad. Depends on how healthy he is.
I saw another rumor of another receiver visiting,
Who's that?
Amari Cooper.
I saw that too.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, if Dallas isn't going to pay him,
Yep.
Yeah.
go to a contender.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
it. Amari, if you're
one-
listening, Buffalo's cold, man, but it's nice, man. Don't do the Antonio Brown and get frostbite because you don't want to come to Buffalo.
One quick note on Super Bowl. Congrats to Andy Reid.
Yes.
Dude, seriously.
I think that makes him a Hall of Famer for sure now.
He looks like the diabetes guy, by the way.
Yeah.
The commercial.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody was happy for Andy Reid in general.
And Kyle Shanahan, his last 2 Super Bowls,
He's blowing the lead.
46-0 in the fourth quarter. Not good.
That kind of,
Obviously, he's no defensive guy, but
right. Yeah, still
you
crazy,
got
though.
you got to put up some points.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only one without a cupcake.
You got to have
so.
a cupcake.
One more Super Bowl note. What did you think of the MVP being Patrick Mahomes?
Oh.
So I have a different pick in my mind.
I had one. I had a different pick as I thought more about it. My pick would have been Damian Williams, but voting stops 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and his last touchdown run was after that. So I think that's part of it. And obviously with Mahomes leading the game-winning drive, I think he was perfect on that drive. So I think that's why they gave it to him. But
even still, like Mahomes didn't get anything going in the first half. The only thing they did move the ball with was Williams.
Yeah.
He kind of kept him, if there was a...
So
I could use one more receiving yard out of Damian Williams, too. Just saying.
Speaking of bets,
So you had what?
I want to hear
29.
You had Damian Williams probably too.
Yeah, so I had that written down. Yeah, he had 17 rushes, 104 yards and a touchdown, and then 4 catches, 29 yards for a receiving touchdown also, so 2 touchdowns total. I was not aware that voting stops 3 minutes left in the game, and I will say that I think that's stupid. The end of a Super Bowl can be the most important part of the game, or any football game in general. So that's
especially that game was back and forth.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Think about all the both Giants Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
That stuff happened with less than a minute left.
Or the Patriots against Seahawks, that was at the end of the game, probably within the last 3 minutes, right?
Right. Yep.
That seems stupid to
Take that last 3 minutes and then use it after the game to figure out who's MVP.
right.
Correct. They take 10 minutes anyways after the final whistle.
Yeah. Like, what's it matter if you? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, how do you vote for an MVP in the North Korean Basketball League if somebody puts up 2 8-pointers in the end of the game? But
In a title game.
I digress. So, no problem with Mahomes. I like him. I think he's one of the good guys in football.
And he's partying like Ovechkin right now.
Oh, absolutely. Man, yes.
You see the video of him walking into the Post Malone concert today?
No.
I didn't see that
They
one.
saw the lights on the stadium. He walked into the concert. He walked in with his girlfriend, his brother, a few other people. So the lights were still on so people could see him come out. And once everybody realized who it was, I think they were in somewhere near Kansas City. I mean, the place was going nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, he had like a VIP platform. It was like right in the middle in front of the stage.
Jeez.
Probably there just for him. But
Yeah. Rough life.
big dick energy.
Was that stadium in Kansas or Missouri, though?
I don't know. I'll ask the president for that.
Oh, boy. Let's not even get into
Twitter.
that.
Twitter, if you're listening to this, can we get an edit option for our tweets?
Yeah.
So I did pretty well for my bets. I had the bet I put in at the end of December for Kansas City to win the whole thing.
Yep.
That was big.
I put the same bet in the same time as
Yep.
you.
So that was like $170 or something. So I had a couple $100 like total with the bets. I had some prop bets that didn't hit, which I didn't really care about. I do know there was a bad beat, and I brought it up. So Dan actually had this bet. He had 2 bets for Mahomes' rushing yards. It was right around like 32, 33 yards.
Yep.
And I want to say he lost like 8 to 12 yards in that last drive.
More than that. He was at 44 and ended up with 29.
So the under hit on that. And that was all. I mean, I saw that on the news the next day, like how people were complaining, like, because he was taking a knee and he was killing the clock.
Yeah.
If they hit the under on his rushing yards. So, yeah, that was, talk about bad beats. Probably on Scott Van Pelt's bad beats he does that every night, like 11 o'clock.
But you got to think of those guys that had the under.
Yeah.
Just helping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because we know somebody that had the over doesn't mean a lot of people didn't have the under.
So the NFL's over until next year.
I know where you're going, and we see an advertisement on the TV at the
Yep.
bottom. Oh, it just went away.
So football in general is not over, just the NFL. We got the XFL this weekend. I want to hear your thoughts. What you think?
I'm excited for the rules.
This is the second time around, by the way, for the XFL.
Correct.
Yes,
Vince
it is.
McMahon.
Yes.
Changed up the rules. Couple of interesting ones, I think, is after you score a touchdown, you either can go from the 1, 2, or 5 yard line, and they are worth 2, 5, and 10, right?
Yes. Yes.
2, 5, and 10. It's
And
worth
with
1, 2, and 3.
3 points.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think that one's nice. And then I also like overtime, and obviously being hockey guys, it's like a hockey shootout. One play from the 5 yard line, you score, you're good.
You get like a pull.
Next team goes. One play from the 5 yard line. They don't get it, it's over. If they get it, but you play 5 rounds, most points after those 5 rounds, you win.
That's
Or
pretty cool.
if not, you play another round every time until winner is declared.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's one issue with the NFL is their overtime rules. So it's kind of nice to see other leagues switching that up, making it a little more exciting. Yeah, the XFL is definitely a league that I admittedly don't know. Of course, it is new, but I don't know anything about. But just quick search, they've got, so as you mentioned, they tried this before, 2001. Vince McMahon has been involved both times. I believe back in 2001, he partnered with NBC or somebody from NBC, and they went together on this. This time around, he's still keeping the the same name, logo, some of that stuff. But basically, they've got 8 teams. The 8 teams are all league owned, so they're not franchised out like most professional sports. The 8 teams are all going to play a 10-game season, followed by a 2-week postseason.
So 4 teams or
top 2 from each division.
Okay.
Move on.
okay.
There's 4 in the East, 4 in the West. Top 2 from each.
Yep.
The East will.
Okay.
So first round, the East will play each other, then the West will play each other, and then the 2 winners
All right. Seems simple then.
decide the title.
I believe they have a TV deal with ESPN/ABC. I know those 2 networks are involved, and we do have a TV on in the background. We did just see an
They
advertisement.
were advertising one of the games,
on the
Seattle, I
bottom.
think.
Yeah. And it sounds like they did strike up some sort of a sponsorship deal with both Gatorade and Anheuser-Busch, 2 obviously pretty big names as far as the sports world is
To get a
concerned.
sponsor, yeah.
We know Gatorade, and then Anheuser-Busch I know has been involved in like NASCAR and things like that. So those are 2 pretty big sponsorship names that they already have.
One job in there I'd like, the ball spotting official. One official's job is to only spot the ball, because the clock stops at certain points during the game, and it starts as soon as that official marks the ball, spots the ball.
Like college? Like if you get a
Kind
first
of,
down?
but even if it goes out of bounds in at some portions of the game, if you run out of bounds, as soon as that official spots the ball, clock starts again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the goal is to keep it to a 2-hour game total.
So even if you go out of bounds,
Oh,
clock
correct.
stops, but
Halftime is only
Okay.
10 minutes, so their whole goal is to get a 2-hour football game.
And I'll agree with you on that. I would also like to see you have that job. I want to see you run around.
yeah, I do too.
I'm pretty in shape, so
For me personally, I personally don't have a ton of interest in watching any of these games. I might catch a little bit of it here and there, but I don't see it getting any traction. I just feel like that Alliance Football League kind of busted. I know they had some financial issues. I don't think they had the sponsorship and the backing that the Alliance did, or the XFL does. Me personally, I don't know how much I'll put into it. I mean, you got March Madness coming up. You know, those are some things. I mean, golf season's ramping up for us. I mean, we enjoy watching the golf. There are positives, though. I read some things. Everything's pretty set with, every team has a $4 million salary cap. They are giving these guys a platform to showcase their skills, which is awesome. I think that's awesome. There's 8 teams. Then there is a 9th team. It's a practice squad of 40 players.
Correct. I saw that.
And then you can pull from that practice squad. Then it's after week 4. After week 5, all the players get sent to all the different teams, and they expand their rosters. They don't have to drop anybody.
Yep.
They just expand their rosters. So I think that's awesome that they give them a platform. Who knows? You might see. Remember, He Hate Me, or the first time in the XFL.
Yeah.
Didn't he play in the NFL for a little while?
Yep.
Yep.
There are a couple college quarterbacks that have been bigger names in the past few years playing.
Yeah.
The DC Defenders have Cardell Jones and Tyree Jackson.
Didn't Cardell
Shout out UB.
Didn't Cardell make it to the NFL and just didn't play?
He did.
Play for the Bills.
Chargers. Probably somebody else.
Yeah, he was on the Bills squad, wasn't he, for a while? They didn't make the cut. Yeah, I think there is some positive. It's pretty interesting. Like, quarterback makes $495,000. If you're starting quarterback, $495,000. Game per week, you get about $2,800. $1,040 that's guaranteed, and there's a win bonus of like $2,300. So, there is definitely some positives. I like some of the rules. That will be interesting to see how they work out with the shootout instead of the extra point.
Yep.
And they don't test for cannabis. So they're going to drug test, but you can smoke all the weed you want, Ricky Williams.
Ching.
And, somebody's going to have a cannabis deal somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think another thing I saw is they're doing, during their broadcast, they're doing live betting updates.
Yes.
So like the over-under,
Yes.
things of that. They're actually going to track that during the game.
Because they're in bed with somebody on this betting stuff.
So I believe Vince McMahon is part owner or something. I may be wrong on this, but I'm going to say DraftKings.
It is DraftKings.
Yeah, so he is definitely on board with the gambling portion of this, and he's got no problem with the broadcast talking about it.
That is,
And I believe, I read they're still working on it officially, but obviously in the NFL, coaches can talk to the quarterbacks. They are opening those communication lines to the broadcast so they can listen in to what the coaches are telling the players.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the live betting thing. That's kind of cool. I know there's a couple people are trying to do that.
Yeah.
I know we don't talk politics on this, but New York, get your shit together.
Yes.
I wanted to bet on the coin toss, and I can't in New York State, so
Yes.
that was frustrating.
And we would have won.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I guess moving on from that, something else New York State dragged their feet on for years until Jon Jones and Ronda Rousey, I believe it was, showed up in Albany and said, you're making us more unsafe because you're not sending in properly trained referees. MMA this weekend, UFC card, pay-per-view. I don't want to say huge fight, but it's a good fight. I mean, Jon Jones is...
Is this kid taking his pants off right
Jon
now?
Jones is fighting Derek.
Hey, my balls is hot.
This was not planned, folks, at all.
His balls are hot.
If you don't get that joke,
Derek Lewis is fighting this weekend.
Search Derek Lewis. Oh, okay.
So, the card itself is not huge.
No,
It's not. I'm going to get it. I'm going to watch it for sure. I mean, I got to see your boy Joan.
Yeah.
Shout out 607 Jones.
Yep.
I think Jimmy Rivera was supposed to be on that card. That fight got canceled. I think that was supposed to be on the main card.
Yeah, I mean, they got, obviously, as you mentioned, Jon Jones fighting Dominic Reyes.
Yep.
The co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko is fighting Caitlin, bear with me here.
Yeah,
Chukagian.
I don't think I've ever seen her fight. This is her 9th UFC fight, and she's won her last 2. I don't think I remember ever watching her fight.
Derek Lewis is the first fight out, and other than that, I don't know any of these names. So the card overall, as you said, is not that good.
Yeah, for sure. I have a few things written down here that are interesting that you guys might want to chime in on. Obviously, my picks are. I like Derek Lewis over Latifi. Latifi is a good fighter though. He's got one punch power. All heavyweights do. This guy's pretty stacked for a heavyweight.
Yeah.
I still like Lewis. His cardio sucks, but the guy sticks around. I mean, he's hard to put away. So I do like Lewis. I
mean, the fight where he had that infamous interview, he knocked out that big Russian dude like 10 seconds left in the fight.
Yeah, the guy could have ran away. And
he was gassed in that fight.
And he was losing.
And still threw a home run swing. So he's never out. I would definitely go with Lewis on that one myself.
Yep. What do you got over there, Polish kid?
Obviously not a big UFC guy. I got Jones and Lewis. That's about all I got.
That's all you got?
I was going to say, he's going to go with Lewis because
Jones knockout.
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
Ooh, I like it.
So, I do like the big fights. I like Lewis.
Yep, I agree.
I think Shevchenko wins in the first round.
Yeah,
I think that fight.
I got her too, but I didn't know how to pronounce her name.
Aren't you guys cousins?
I think she's Russian, not Polish.
Same thing.
I go with Shevchenko also.
I think Shevchenko gets it done in the first round under 2 minutes.
Yeah, she's a machine.
Yeah, I think there's dudes she can beat.
Yeah,
I think she could beat Cejudo's ass.
You think that'll ever happen?
No,
men and women fight.
No,
yeah,
I don't.
I don't either.
But the big one to me is Jones. I mean, we're all from the area where John grew up. We're big Jones fans.
Yep.
He's got his skeletons in the closet. They're not actually in the closet. Everybody knows about it at this point. But I'm glad he's back. I think the reason he's on this card is he wants to fight again this summer. And the biggest draw for him to fight would be July at International Fight Week. So they wanted to get him back because he wanted to stay active. So they wanted to get him back, I think, to fight right away, which in turn they had some big cards at the end of the year. Therefore, I think this card is kind of, I don't want to say weak, but doesn't have a lot of big names to it. But I think he just wanted to get back and fight just so he could turn around and fight again in July.
Yeah.
I also think he finishes Reyes. I really do. And I know John, I've watched his last couple fights, and he has openly admitted he had a little bit of an ego that, when he stood and pounded with Santos, Santos had no legs, didn't take him down.
Yeah.
Obviously, the elephant in the room was, John, why didn't you take him down? And it was a pride thing. I wanted to stand and pound with him. These guys said I couldn't. And then he fought Anthony Smith, and I've never seen anybody more scared in my life in a ring in UFC than Anthony Smith, just not knowing where the next punch was coming from.
You should let me in the ring.
We'll really see how fast you can run.
I'd be sliding under those ropes.
I'd like to see.
Oh, no ropes.
Yeah, this isn't boxing, but I'd like to see you try to jump over the fence, though. That'd be entertaining.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know how I do that.
I think Reyes.
I'd have to hope the door was still open.
I think Reyes has not learned from the last two guys. Anthony Smith and Santos both, prior to the fight, said, I'm going to go in the ring. I'm going to run through John.
Yep.
I'm going to take it to him, and they can't close the range.
No.
And Reyes really thinks that he's going to close the range on John. I think he's in over his head.
Yeah.
And the only reason he's getting his title shot is there's nobody else for John to fight because he's cleaned out the division again.
Light heavyweight's rather weak at the moment. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned reach. Just to go over some numbers here, you got obviously Jon Jones, 25-1-0. The one is
a blemish.
Yeah, it's controversial. He's undefeated. Reyes currently 12-0-0. He's undefeated. His last 3 were against he knocked out Weidman.
Former middleweight.
Yep. He had a split decision over Volkan Ozdemir, which I believe was very controversial. There were people that thought Ozdemir won that fight.
Yep.
And then a decision over Ovince St. Preux. Prior to that, when I looked at his fight log, I didn't know any of the names. So.
He fought Cannemir. Cannemir's also now a middleweight.
Yeah. Whereas versus Jones, we know has basically gone through murderer's row of the light heavyweight in history. He's fought all of the greatest fighters that light heavyweights had to offer.
Reyes' best win is against OSP. And that's even still, I don't know. We saw what John did to OSP. He just kind of picked him apart.
Yeah. They're both 6'4", so height's about the same. But as usual, John comes in with about, according to the official numbers, a 7.5-inch reach advantage, which is crazy when you're fighting somebody the same height. They've got Reyes listed as 77-inch reach, and Jones is still at.
Even if they had an equal reach advantage, he wouldn't close the distance.
Yeah.
He's going to get kicked in the face before he gets. And here's a guy. It was funny too. Is I sent you guys that thing earlier. I can pull it up real quick. It's kind of cracking me up. So I sent you guys this image that I saw of who he's fighting.
Oh yeah.
And ESPN actually popped up a thing that said he actually used to be an IT specialist.
Yeah.
So he was an IT guy. Yep. So it said Jon Jones' recent opponents, and I'll throw this up on the screen, had Machida, karate black belt, jiu-jitsu black belt.
Yep.
Had DC, Olympic medalist in wrestling, D1 national champion in wrestling, and king of the salad bar. And then you got Santos. He was a black belt in Muay Thai. And then you had, was that Victor Belfort? Brazilian jiu-jitsu, black belt, world-class striking champion. And there's a picture of Reyes, played baseball. I mean, the guy doesn't have a ton of background in this. I think he's in over his head. Props for him for getting this far to get a title fight. This thing's over in the first round. I think John's he's had it with not finished his last 2 fights. He's gonna put this dude away.
Yeah, I think that's what his fans want to see too. I know that's what I want to see. It's been a while since he actually finished a fight. Most of his fights have been clear wins, but they've been decisions. I want to see him get those elbows out again and end this thing.
It's been like a cat playing with a dead mouse these last couple fights. So I don't. And then from there, I don't know. I think he moves up. I got a little tidbit for you guys. You're gonna love this. Stipe Miocic. He has a hobby. He streams on Twitch. I don't know if you guys watch him at all.
I don't.
Dude, I love Stipe. I watched him fight in Cleveland.
Yep. But
Stipe talks like the guy from Waterboy. Joe Dirt. So he streams, and he's on streaming, and he doesn't actually have a ton of viewers. He had like 30 people in there watching last night. So I go into his stream, and I type in his chat, "What's up, Stipe? You and Jones this summer?" And he goes, Craney, fuck yeah, man, I'm up for anything. I love that fight. So who knows? And I asked him how his eye was, because that was the big thing. I said, how are the eyes? Eyes are fine. So I'd like to see that. I think DC's done. I really do.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to throw out that hypothetical, because the rumor is that Stipe, I don't know if that's official, that Stipe and DC are fighting in March.
It's not, because DC, what I saw after the fact was that Miocic did have some sort of eye injury that was not 100%.
So you're thinking this, if Jones wins this, he and Stipe would be Stipe's next fight.
I think so.
Where I was thinking hypothetically, if Stipe and DC are fighting, does Jones move up to heavyweight and take the winner of that fight?
Maybe, but
either scenario,
does DC want to fight John again and end his career like that? He said if anybody retires, it means it's going to be Stipe.
Yeah, well, Jones comes up to heavyweight, DC's, weight class, and then they throw $2-3 million at DC. I don't know.
He might.
It's tough to turn that down.
Yeah,
I'll fight Jon Jones for $3 million.
Then the other one that I think that might happen is Adesanya, which he needs to shut his mouth. Yeah. I'm sick and tired of that dude running his mouth. And the thing is, I like Adesanya as a fighter, I really do. And then all of a sudden, he got this bug in his ass about Jones, and was just wouldn't let it go. It's like, dude, just stop. Like, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Worry about holding your belt. There's some monsters in your division you need to worry about before you worry about fighting John.
Isn't he fighting 248?
Adesanya?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Probably.
he's fighting soon. I don't remember against who, but
Yeah.
he's a guy that Adesanya, that is. I love his fighting style. I am a fan of his fighting. I've listened to him on a couple podcasts, specifically like Joe Rogan. He was on there.
Yep.
The kid is extremely confident. If he didn't have this weird beef with John Jones, I would be a huge fan of Adesanya. But
Pick your fight with somebody else, especially in a weight class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys hear Covington the other day? UFC is going to be corrupt if they don't run this back with me and Usman. I didn't break my jaw, and he was all mad about a corrupt ref. I'm like, dude, you got your ass whooped. You got put away. Just shut up. There's another guy like, just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I've heard that's, sorry to interrupt. I've heard that is
go ahead.
all an act with Covington.
Has to be.
They say that he's like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, a really calm, quiet, reserved guy. But then when he gets the camera on him, as far as the UFC goes,
He sells fights.
It's almost like the WWE. He's got this character that he puts on, and that's not even who he is.
That's not UFC though. Like, just
which is even more annoying.
Trying to be Conor.
Opinion. Yeah,
trying to be Conor.
Yeah,
and not even close to being as successful as Conor. No. But yeah, that's not happening. Usman's fighting Masvidal in July. Usman's getting crucified. I would not want to fight Masvidal right now if I'm in that weight class. The dude's on a tear, and he's always been a monster. He's always been a beast, but he's been different level lately, and I wouldn't want to fight Masvidal right now.
No.
So, yeah, UFC this weekend. John Jones, you're undefeated in my book, champ.
Yes.
So, topic of this podcast that we really wanted to talk about, we mentioned it last time. We almost got into it. We're like, no, let's save this.
He shook his head. Oh, maybe different topic.
He shook his head?
All right, go on.
I did.
Yeah, Adam's been over there just
If
like
the topic's right.
I'm surprised you didn't eat that other cupcake while we weren't talking.
No, I mean,
about
he
it.
shook his head last podcast.
Yeah.
You want that? Dude, it's your birthday.
Yeah, it's your
I know, I
birthday.
gotta finish this one. The diabetes. I can't.
What are you,
I can't
40
eat
now?
too many cupcakes.
We got orange juice upstairs.
I got pump more insulin than me.
Ovechkin Gretzky debate. I didn't think. I mean, I don't follow hockey like you guys, but boom, let's hear it. Ovechkin.
Hold on, we got another wardrobe change. Oh my God, he wore an Ovechkin.
I guess we know what Adam's stance is. He's got the Ovechkin shirt.
The best part is he's wearing this, and then he's going to go the other way in the debate.
No.
Okay.
I'm taking Ovechkin.
So I've gone pretty in depth into this. I will admit. For those of you out there, I'm a huge hockey fan, so I already have my answer.
He's huge. He loves hockey.
I think the answer is pretty clear, so I kind of took this down a couple different paths, but we could save that for last. Let's let old T-shirt here go on.
Yeah.
Goals. I think Ovechkin will pass him.
Okay.
Some numbers I did write down here. So Gretzky has played in 350 more games.
Yep.
Which, 4 seasons?
Yes.
Roughly.
4.2.
Who's counting?
Math guy.
So, I mean, and Gretzky, as of right now, played 6 more seasons. And obviously Ovechkin has stayed very healthy.
Yes.
I did notice that when I was comparing the numbers.
I think at least 78 games, all but 2 seasons. One was the shortened lockout season.
Yep.
Which he played every game.
Yep.
And then another season, 09-10, he played 72 games.
That's incredible to stay that healthy and play that many games in hockey.
And to run around like he does on the ice.
Yeah, he plays a physical game. For reference, there's 82 games in an NHL season.
So I do think Ovechkin will pass Gretzky in goals. Obviously, he is 8th right now.
Yes.
Number 8, if I might add.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was interesting is there are only, 2 other active guys in the top 50. One I wouldn't consider active is Hossa.
Yeah.
Marian Hossa. I wouldn't consider him active. No. He hasn't played in 3 years.
Hossa's on a weird injury situation.
And then obviously Patrick Marleau, who's at the end of his career, and he's only got 561. So
yeah,
there aren't many guys right now scoring at a clips that Ovechkin has, and it seems like every year we talk about him kind of being down, and then I think he got 40 already this year.
Yeah, he's got 40.
in 53 games.
Ironically, it's been, less than a week since our episode 1 when we mentioned this. Ovechkin's played in 1 game since and had a hat trick.
Yeah.
He's got 14 goals in his last 7 games, which is just stupid. So he's now 2 away from hitting the 700 mark. He's 10 goals behind Mike Gartner at 708, so he'll clearly get that this season. After that's Phil Esposito at 717. That one will be debatable. But my guess is at the end of the season he's between Esposito and Gartner, so he's 7th.
Correct. Do they include playoffs or no?
No, they don't.
They
a
don't,
separate
right?
stat when I looked it up. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So I've got some more. I know you talked about the Ovechkin versus Gretzky player status, so I've got a whole bunch of numbers kind of go on that. But if you want to,
I didn't
first. I
don't watch as much hockey as you guy. I mean, not that I don't like it. I just don't follow it as tight. I don't probably know as many players. If he plays another 6 seasons, he needs about 33 goals a season on average to pass Gretzky in goals. I did compare some stats. Gretzky played 20 seasons. He won. At this point, he's going to win unless Ovechkin does something crazy. Gretzky had 4 Stanley Cups. Ovechkin's got 1. This was an interesting stat. Gretzky had 50 hat tricks, and I think now Ovechkin now has 28. That would make 28 for him because he had one the other night. So that's pretty crazy, but still like 4 years left. You know, he gets 2 or 3 a year. He catches him there.
Yep.
I think he passes him in goals, but barring something crazy in a society where we judge athletes on greatness and how many rings they have, which I don't agree with completely. I mean, Luke Walton's got 2 rings, just so we're throwing that out there, and I think he's at the bench.
Jimmy Garoppolo's got 2 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy G's got 2.
That's a good point.
I think as far as, and Ovechkin's currently 34 years old. Gretzky retired at 38. I think as far as being as the greatest and surpassing Gretzky in that title, I'm going to say no. Does I think he passes him in goals? I think that's absolutely possible. They'll have some similar stats, but being the greatest of all time, in my book, with as little hockey as I know, I think it's still Gretzky. I really think it's still Gretzky.
100%.
Yep.
And I think, not to slight Ovechkin, but he should definitely be in the talk of one of the greatest of all time. He really should.
And I think maybe Russell. I'll let Russ go. I was going to throw out another stat, but you might have this.
Yeah, I've got a lot of numbers here, so buckle up. And if numbers bore you at home, I apologize.
Do I need a pen?
I'm a numbers guy.
You need a pen? I got a
No, I said, do I need a pen? I brought a pen.
Oh, yeah, why not?
We got extra
It's
pens.
the same pen.
Are you a numbers guy?
Sweet pens.
All right, so
Thank you, Sharpie.
So when we mentioned this last week, we were obviously talking, as you guys alluded to, Ovechkin versus Gretzky, passing the all-time goals record. And then you mentioned, is he in that all-time greatest player conversation? To me, it's definitely no.
But one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Not the greatest of all time.
So I'll explain myself here. So as you mentioned, Gretzky, 1,487 games played.
Yep.
Okay. He's got 894 goals, first all time, and he's got 2,857 points.
1,963 assists.
Yep. So for those of you at home,
Good math.
goals plus assists equals points.
No, I had it written down.
All right.
I don't do that shit in my head.
Ovechkin, currently 1,139 games played. As Adam mentioned, that's 350 behind Gretzky. Okay. Ovechkin's got 698 goals, 1,268 points. So if we look at one of the other stats that's talked about a lot in hockey is points per game. Nowadays, if you're close to 1 point per game, you're doing extremely well.
Right.
Gretzky for his career had 1.92 points per game.
In a different era.
In a different era, which I will mention something about. The goaltending was definitely different back then.
Bigger pads? Were the pads bigger or smaller back then?
Much smaller.
Okay.
Much smaller.
I don't even know if they wore pads.
They didn't wear helmets. They wore mullets.
Yeah, yes, they did. Yeah, back in Gretzky's day, they wore much smaller equipment, and they played a stand-up style. So goaltending, in my opinion, was not nearly as good back when Gretzky played.
Russ would be an all-star back then.
Oh, yeah, probably still would.
He'd probably be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I think he's still got time.
He's quick like a cat.
But when you still compare Gretzky to everyone else of that era, he's still
head and
not even
shoulders.
close.
Yes.
So what I did, this little math exercise, So I took those 350 games, the difference between what OV's played already versus Gretzky, okay? Ovechkin, 1.12 points per game and 0.614 goals per game, which is 6 all time. So I took those point per game rates and calculated it for Gretzky's games played. In other words, if Ovechkin plays another 350 games and finishes with the same number of games played, okay, and Ovechkin scores at the same rate, he would end up with, I've got it somewhere. That number's wrong. It was like 7. He would get the record.
Yeah, for goals.
It was like 717. The number that really stands out, if he keeps scoring points at the same current rate for the next 350 games to reach Gretzky's games played, Ovechkin would end up with 1,658 points. That number is still roughly 1,200 points behind Gretzky. So for those of you at home, one of the weird stats in sports, as we mentioned, goals plus assists equals points. Gretzky's number 1 in goals in history. If you take those goals away and only count his assists, he's still the top scorer in the history of the NHL.
That's staggering.
Yeah.
Because the guy leads all time in goals.
Yeah. Jágr came close. Jágr had like 50 fewer points, but Jágr also played like
I was going to say
300 or 400 more games than Gretzky.
Jágr would play with a walker if he could.
250 more games.
Okay. So I did the same thing for Mario Lemieux. So
That's got to throw that out there.
Because Mario Lemieux's career was shortened due to health issues, not just injuries. He battled leukemia and things of that nature. When I talked about points per game, Gretzky is first all-time, like I mentioned, 1.92 points per game. Lemieux, 1.88 points per game. Very similar. And it's the two of them, and then you take a huge leap down, and it's everyone else in the NHL history. So if I did that same exercise, Lemieux only played 915 games. If you calculated his points per game out to Gretzky's number of games played, Lemieux would actually have over 1,100 goals and 2,800 points. He would have been within 100 points of Gretzky.
That's crazy. You did do some serious math.
And based on the numbers I looked up, Brett Hull, who is...
Boo.
Yeah. Sabres fans do not like Brett Hull. Brett Hull is 4th on the all-time list, 741 goals. He was also a pure goal scorer. He has far less assists. He, to me, is very comparable to Ovechkin. I don't think there's any argument that Brett Hull is clearly a top 20 player in the history of the NHL. I believe that Brett Hull and Ovechkin are very similar. Ovechkin will pass his numbers, therefore probably becoming a top 10 player all time. So,
for the sake of conversation, I'm going to throw it out there. Behind Ovechkin, do you think, what about Crosby?
yeah.
Where does he fall?
So, ironically, I also have his name written
Of course
down.
you do.
Yeah. He's currently, so he hasn't quite gotten to 1,000 games. He's already got 1,200 points. His points per game is higher than Ovechkin. He scores less goals. But as you mentioned, championships, Crosby's got 3 Stanley Cups to Ovechkin's 1.
Yep.
So that's interesting to me because obviously they came in the league same time.
Yep.
And Ovechkin's got, 300 more games?
Yeah.
That shows the health.
Yeah.
Crosby was hurt all the time.
Crosby definitely battled concussions. Ovechkin, as you mentioned, stayed very healthy. I think if I had to rank Crosby versus Ovechkin, I would say Crosby is the better overall player, and will go down in history as the better overall player than Ovechkin. So
you still got to put up some more numbers, though, to put yourself in that category based on just numbers alone. I mean, he takes a big leap because he has 3 Stanley Cups, but
whatever number you just mentioned, Crosby has 200-some less games than Ovechkin.
300, right?
But yet he's
200, yeah.
But yet he's within 20 points of Ovechkin.
that's putting up numbers.
Yeah.
So
That's playing hockey right there.
to summarize all this, in my opinion, Wayne Gretzky is still the greatest hockey player ever. I would put Lemieux a very close second.
Even with a shortened career.
Yep. And to me, Bobby Orr is the 3rd greatest hockey player of all time. He put up some ridiculous point. I'll quit boring you with the numbers, but he was a defenseman, and his points per game ratio is it's probably top 10 all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Different era, too, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember how I wasn't around to see how they played hockey back then, but
I would say when it comes to just pure goal scorer, Ovechkin to me is the number one pure goal scorer. Best overall player is Gretzky, no doubt.
and I think just in general, all sports, and it's scary to know where it's going to go, not just in hockey, but in football and basketball, is you go back 15, 20 years and how they used to play basketball to how they play basketball now and football now. These guys are just, there's such a science behind everything they do, what they eat, what they put in their bodies, how they work out. Everything's calculated, and they're so much bigger and stronger and faster. So I think it just makes me wonder, like, well, where do we go 20 years from now? Like, what are guys going to be doing, and how good are people going to be? I can't imagine it being much more athletic than what we're looking at right now, almost all of our sports.
When I said my math was wrong earlier, it was actually correct. Just the number's very high. For Ovechkin's 912.
So it's close.
I hope I didn't ramble too much there.
No, I love it, dude. I'm glad. I'm enjoying and love hearing numbers. It's honestly, numbers are the best way to argue. If you want to debate about something, and we didn't angrily debate. We just threw it out there and said, hey. Yeah. So I would say on a consensus, we all kind of say that all time right now, still Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time, but Ovechkin would have to be in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. And I love watching Ovechkin play just because he'll hit you. He doesn't care.
Keeps going, yeah.
And obviously he parties like no other.
Doesn't party like Mahomes? Well, actually, he parties better than Mahomes. No, that's that one's been sitting on the stove burning for a while, ever since we had our last podcast. So,
Russ was probably writing numbers down that night.
He looked like Alan from Hangover. There was like stuff in the background, his numbers flying. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's crazy. Last thing I want to end with, we don't have to make it long. Just want your quick opinion. Just hit the news the other day. Pete Rose filed for reinstatement.
Yeah.
So I want to hear you guys' quick thoughts on that before we.
Yeah, this is. I forgot we were going to maybe talk about that, so I didn't look up all the numbers.
I didn't. I just wrote down he filed for reinstatement.
To me, it is a joke that Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know all the gambling details, but obviously he gambled on games back in the day. My understanding is it's always been understood that he only bet on his team, for his team, never bet against them.
Right.
Therefore, he was never out there throwing games. He's got over 4,000 hits in his
4,300 maybe.
4,300
all-time leader in hits. That's like saying Gretzky's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So comparing it to what obviously this came up because of the Astros debacle over the last couple of years with their sign stealing. They won 2017 World Series against the Dodgers. Their sign stealing dates back to them. They were handed what was called the harshest punishment in sports history,
monetary wise.
Yeah, and plus their manager,
which was the max, by the way. $5 million was the max they could hand out.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay. And then their manager AJ Hinch and their GM, his name slipped on my mind, they were both suspended for an entire year. The Astros decided to fire them.
And Beltran stepped down for the Mets.
Yep.
Cora.
Yeah. But for the
pieced out from Boston.
Yep.
Yeah. The official punishment to only be a year suspension, yet they affected World Series outcomes. And then you compare it back to Rose having a lifetime ban for betting that he's going to succeed, essentially, is a joke. In my opinion, it's like I said, it's a joke that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. 4,256 hits.
Yeah.
And over 300 average.
Yeah.
Who's next on the hits list?
Ty Cobb, I think.
Yes.
I think Rose and Ty Cobb are the only two with over 4,000 hits. I hope I'm right.
That actually sounds right.
Correct. Cobb had 4189.
Okay. Yep.
And then third is Hank Aaron at 3771.
Okay.
Also with a short career.
Shout out Braves.
There you go.
Where's Jeter on that list? Shout out Yankees.
Yeah, I don't care about him.
I know you don't.
Yeah, what did he in?
Respect.
30, 33, 3,400. Somewhere around there, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
Jeter's number 6 at 3465.
nothing to bat your eyes at. I mean,
No.
In front of him, though, is Tris Speaker.
Yep.
I don't know who that is.
Old school.
nobody does. But yeah, I think
Stan Musial. I've been told that he's like an 8th cousin to me. I don't believe everything my grandma says, but That's what she tells me. I don't believe it.
Did you ever see any like royalty monies?
No. I have a baseball card, but that's about it.
Is it signed?
But my dad's a Cardinals fan, so that might be why I have that card.
Speaking of baseball cards, my mom sends me a text the other day. She's like, "Hey, is this yours?" I mean, I collected baseball cards as a kid.
Yeah.
Hey, is this yours? It was a picture of Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie card. I'm like, yes, that's mine. Where did you get it? Like, all my stuff's like in storage or something.
I pulled it out of the trash.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I had it. I'm like, why? And then she eBay looks it up.
And then she sold it.
And she's like, I'll split it with you. No.
And
It was selling on eBay for like $2,400.
Jeez. Yeah. Let's get on.
Kyle's buying dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take you to dinner, Mom. Thanks for hanging on to it.
As you're saying that,
McDonald's.
Obviously, I mentioned Lemieux a little bit ago. I've got an autographed 8x12 of him, personalized to me from back in the day. Should have broke that out.
Should have, man.
Having this
like
debate.
a memorial.
Yeah.
Just threw it out on the table.
I could have had wardrobe changes. You could have pictures.
You've changed your clothes an odd number of times in
You
this
balls still hot?
podcast. Yeah.
They still hot.
They still hot.
I got no other wardrobe changes. I don't think you guys
God.
want to see what's under here.
No, I don't.
No.
I'm
No.
close.
No.
So yeah, I'm
Just
on
my BD's pump.
I'm on board. I think it's stupid that Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. It's just, to me, it's petty at this point. Like, just get over it.
Yeah.
I know the new commissioner said he was going to look at it. Maybe this is him getting the ball rolling. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what conversations they've had. I was in Vegas last year around this time, and I was talking to a couple people who were locals, and they said Pete Rose lives out there, I believe. They said he is a local. He's pretty common amongst the people. Spends a lot of time at Mandalay Bay doing signings and greetings and showings.
My parents went and got a picture with him. My mom's a huge Cincinnati Reds fan, so they went and got a picture with him.
And they
when were
said
out
he's
there.
just like, it's for a guy with that status of who he was and everything that surrounds him. They said he walks, I mean, at this point, he walks around Vegas, walks through the casino. No one bothers him. They know who he is, but no one bothers him. He's just, just one of the locals out there. But this guy also told me, he's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He is a super nice guy. So yeah, Pete Rose, in my opinion, should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's just stupid at this point.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, boys? Anything you want to get off your chest, vent, calculate?
I think all my calculations are done for the day.
All right. All right. Well, that concludes episode 2. Make sure you guys subscribe. Adam.
Hit the bell for notifications.
There it is.
Give it a like.
Yeah.
Tell 3 friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell no friends. We're not going anywhere. We'll be back to do another one soon. So,
Yeah.
all right.
All right.
Peace.